Hello and welcome back to Disneyland. Professor Toybox here. Today I've got Mulan with me and we're going to build the nighttime fireworks show. I thought Mulan would be a great choice for today's episode because she's got a fireworks cannon that's kind of fun to use. And I just love that little thing. That's pretty neat. That's her special move. So, to save a little bit of time, let's come into Spark mode here. I've already put down most of the creativitoys I'm going to need. I've got a time delayer, followed by a counter, and 2 more time delayers. I also have a level starter and a randomizer. And I've placed a bunch of locators up here in the sky for where the fireworks are going to go off. And I'll show you where those are each placed as we hook them up as we go along. So the other thing we're going to need are the fireworks cannons. And so I'm going to start with the party cannons. And we're going to place these right here behind the towers. And it kind of tucks them out of sight a little bit, but they're there for the fireworks show when we need them. And I'm going to put 2 more of these down here, one on that side and one on that side. So we have 4 party cannons total, and that's where they're located. And again, you're not really going to see them as you're running through the park. They're kind of tucked out of the way, but they're there for the show. And then we're going to need 10 fireworks cannons. And so I'm going to drop a row of 10 of these out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I got a little warning there that it's starting to approach the limits here on my toy box, but that's all right. So that's why we kind of waited to do this near the end of this toy box here, and the same with some of the other games and activities. So there we go. We have all the creativitoys now that we're going to need. So the next thing we're going to do is come into each of these fireworks cannons, and I'm going to set some properties. And before I do that, I also want to mention that my fireworks show is divided into 2 stages. So the very first stage, I'm going to launch individual fireworks one at a time. And then for the second stage, I have a grand finale where I launch a bunch of fireworks at the same time. And so we'll go ahead and set the properties on here now. And that's important to note because we're going to be using these fireworks cannons for both stages. And so as we come in here to set the properties, each of these has 1 property. It's a burst delay. And I'm going to set the first one to 500 milliseconds, a half a second. We're going to come to the second one. And I'm going to set this to something different. I'm going to set this one to 700. And the reason I'm doing this is because setting the delay differently on each of these cannons is going to help in both phases of the fireworks show. So in phase 1, it's going to prevent the fireworks from going off at a regular time interval, like boom, 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 evenly spaced apart. And so it's going to feel a little bit more natural. And this third one we're going to set to 800. And in the second phase, we're going to launch off a bunch of fireworks simultaneously. But we don't want all of these going off at exactly the same time. So spreading these out a little bit is going to help with that as well. We set that one to 1,000. For the 5th one here, we're going to set this one to 1,200. Number 6. This one I'm going to set to 1,300. Number 7. We're going to set this one to 1,400. Number 8, I'm going to set this one to 1,600. on number 9, we're going to set this one to 1800. And then the last one, we're going to peg that meter out at 2000, so 2 seconds. And again, that will space the fireworks out a little bit. There we go. And now let's go ahead and hook up each of these to their individual locators. So on the first one, we're going to do a new locator connection. And let me make sure I get the right ones here. Not that it completely matters. Okay, so for the very first one, I'm going to come up here to this locator. And we're going to set it. And you'll notice the little blue dot is facing to the left. Most of these locators, the blue dot is facing left, and that's because when you display the firework, you want it facing the camera, basically, where I am currently. And if you don't, then the firework is going to be facing that direction, and when you look at it from this direction, it's going to look like a flat line, a flat vertical line, because these fireworks are only in 2 dimensions. And so that's why the locator's face that way. And this one, you'll notice where it is when we look in that direction, it's kind of lined up with the top of that roof. And if we look in this direction, we're kind of over top of the peak of that roof on that little building down there. So that kind of gives you an idea where this one is. And it doesn't really matter that you get that precise. That'll be where the location is going to be. But if you're in the ballpark, that's fine. And again, it doesn't have to exactly match mine, but I know some of you want to match it exactly. So the second firework, we'll do a new locator connection, and this one is going to connect up to this locator, which is right in front of that square tower. And again, it's kind of lined up with the middle of that roof there. So that gives you an idea where that one's located. And again, notice the blue arrows to the left, the little blue dot. Number 3, do a new locator connection, and this one is going to attach to a locator sitting up here. And so this one's kind of lined up with the edge of the parapet down there. And when you look over this way, it's kind of lined up with that building. And it's about the level of the roof over there again. So that's where this one's going to be located. Firework cannon number 4. New locator connection. This one, we're going to connect up to a locator over here. That guy. So he's kind of at the level of that floor, kind of over that blue roof there, and when you look at it this way, it's lined up about where that blue roof is there. And again, notice that blue arrow. Most of these are facing left. Alright, cannon number 5. New locator connection. This one is going to attach to this locator out here. That guy. And this one is located a little above that roof line, and it is way out over the bridge. So it's kind of out here, about located there along the bridge down below. Alright, cannon number 6. New locator connection. This one, we're going to connect up to this locator up here. There we go. And this one is kind of even with that flag and in line with that tower below. And in this direction, it's kind of along the front edge of that tower, that building there in the front. So So some of these sit a little bit further in towards the castle, some of these are a little further out. All right, cannon number 7, which is that one. Yeah. Do a new locator connection. And this one is going to be a little bit special. So this one's going to connect up to this locator out here. There. And you'll notice the little blue dot on this one is facing our camera. It is not facing to the left. And that's very important for this particular one because the fireworks we're going to launch off from that one, unfortunately not all of them face the same direction. And so the ones we're going to face off, if this were facing to the left, again, we would have a vertical look at the thing. So you'd have to be on this side or on that side to see it. So that's why we've got this one turned. So that's important. This locator is located with the center of that tower and about even with the flag. And it's lined up about with the front edge of that building, sticking out a little ways. All right. Firework cannon number 8. There we go. New locator connection. This one, I had to grab my screenshot there, sorry. That one's going to connect up to this locator up here. And again, notice the little blue dot is facing to the left. This is located about the top of the little platform around that tower. And it's sticking out about the front edge of this little building right here. So that's where that location's going to go. Number 9. New locator connection. And for this one is going to connect right here in this little locator on the front of the castle. If I can get to it. Here we go. And again, you'll notice the dot for this one is facing forward as well. This one's like right on the corner of that little building in the front. And it's right on the front edge of that building like that, sticking out just a little ways, about level with that floor back there. Alright, and the last firework cannon, and I know this has been a little tedious watching me hook all of these up, but those of you who are building this will appreciate it. For this one, I'm going to cheat a little bit. And I'm going to attach this one to one of the existing locators. We're going to put this one right up here again on the front. And I kind of cheated with this because I was running out of ideas of where to place these. So we'll put another set. So we got 2 fireworks cannons connected to this locator, which is the one that's out over the center of the bridge there. All right, so now we've got the cannons set with their properties. We've got them connected to their locators. Let's go ahead and hook the rest of this up, and it should go a little faster, hopefully now. So the first thing we're going to do, stage 1. When the player presses the button here, we're going to transition to nighttime, and I'm going to go ahead and hook this up to this exact same button. And so what I want is 20 seconds later, after we switch to night, I'm going to start the fireworks show. That gives the player time to find a place to watch the show from. And if you wanted, you could use a different button and have a separate button for that, but I'm going to use the same one. So we're going to do a new logic connection when pressed. And the first thing I'm going to do is come down to this first timer, and we're going to start the delay. And on this timer, under the properties, I'm going to set the delay time to be 20 seconds. And so that's our delay for starting the fireworks show. And on the timer here, a new logic connection, when the delay is completed, we're going to come over to our counter. And the counter is going to drive the first stage of our fireworks show. So we're going to connect to that. And what we're going to do here is we're going to iterate through the current count. And so whatever I set this counter to, as far as the number goes, it's going to rotate through that count and launch off those fireworks. So on the counter, under the properties, I'm going to set the target count to be 31. And I could set it to be 30, but that's all right. The start reset count I'm going to set to 30. This is the one that really matters. And by setting it to 30 means we're going to launch off 30 fireworks. And they're going to be roughly 1 second apart, give or take. And if you want a shorter fireworks show, you can set that to 20. If you want a longer one, you can set it to 40. 30 is a good number, I've found. And then I'm going to make sure both of these properties are turned off. So that's how the counter is configured. And now, because we set the start count to 30 doesn't make it so. And so we need to come over to our level starter and do a new logic connection on catalyze. And come over to the counter and do a reset. And I'm going to go ahead and hook up another button here, just to make sure we can test this. I didn't have this hooked up in the other toy box because this was already implemented, but just so we can test this out, this button, I'm going to use this to reset that counter. So on a new logic connection, when pressed, we'll just go ahead and kick off, invoke that level starter. And so now we can come out over here, and Mulan can push the button. And now the count on that counter is set to 30. All right. So the counter over here, or time delayer over here, is going to tell the counter to iterate through the current count, which is now 30. And as it does this, what's going to happen is, if you remember my tutorial on the counter from Toy Box Tutorials, I forget which episode that was, but once you do that, if we do a new logic connection, what's going to happen is there's a couple of trigger signals this is going to start broadcasting. And the first one it's going to do is this iteration cycled. And for every count on the counter, it's going to do this. So as the counter goes through the current count, which is 30, it's basically counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's going to broadcast this trigger signal every time. And so when that happens on iteration cycled, we're going to come over to the randomizer and say action. So that's going to invoke the randomizer. And then when it's all done, the counter is going to broadcast this iteration process completed. And we're going to use that to trigger off stage 2 of our fireworks show, the grand finale, but we'll get to that in a minute. All right, on the randomizer, our randomizer is going to invoke one of those 10 cannons. And so on here, we're going to do a new logic connection on random trigger 1. I want to come over to the first fireworks cannon over here. And for this one, I'm going to do a large flower. And let's make it red. And then on the randomizer, new logic connection on random trigger 2, we're going to come to the second firework cannon. And for this one, we're going to do a large Disney Infinity logo. And we'll make this one red too. And on the randomizer, a new logic connection for random trigger 3, we'll invoke the third fireworks cannon. And for this one, let's do a large Mickey shape. And let's make this one blue. And again, the colors don't matter the shapes that you are selecting, though, do, because again, some of these require the locator to be turned the opposite direction. New logic connection, random trigger 4 will connect to fireworks cannon number 4. And on this one, let's do a large smiley face. And we'll make that one, let's see, yellow. New logic connection on the randomizer for random trigger 5 will connect to fireworks cannon number 5. And on this one, let's do a large snowflake. And we'll make this one blue. New logic connection on the randomizer for random trigger 6. Connect up to fireworks cannon number 6. And on this one, we'll do a large star. And let's see, we haven't used orange yet, so we'll use orange for that. On the randomizer for random trigger 7, we connect up to fireworks cannon number 7. And on this one, this is the one now that's the orientation of this is pointing a different way on those locators. So there's only a few fireworks that we want to select on this one. And one of them is this chrysanthemum shape. And so that's the one I'm going to do. And that's kind of a traditional looking firework, and I really like that one. And for this one, we'll select purple. We haven't used that color yet. On the randomizer, a new logic connection, random trigger 8. Come over to fireworks cannon 8. And on this one, we're going to do a large spider. And we'll make this one green. So it looks kind of like the Spider-Man logo. On the randomizer, random trigger number 9, we're going to connect that up to the 9th one here. And again, this one is turned the other way as well on the locator. And so on this one of the other shapes besides that chrysanthemum that's oriented that direction is the spinner. And so we'll select that one, and we'll do orange again. And then finally, on the randomizer, new logic connection, random trigger number 10. We'll connect up to this one, and we'll do what's called a crochet. And we'll do green. And this is another one that's actually oriented the other direction, but I think it works okay. I selected that one for some reason. Maybe that's one of those that looks good either direction. So there we go. So the counter, as it goes through and counts up to 30, is going to invoke the randomizer. And the randomizer is going to invoke one of those 10 fireworks cannons each time. And again, the fireworks cannons are spaced out a little bit on those delays, so it's not going to be regular. And they're all positioned in random locations up there, or different locations. And so that's going to create a kind of a nice fireworks show. And you're never going to have the same ones going off in the same order in the same places twice. So that's really good. So that's stage 1. Excuse me. Now, on the counter, we'll do a new logic connection. When the iteration process is done, we want to kick off stage 2. And stage 2 I'm going to divide up into 3 pieces. And so on the first stage, I'm going to invoke a few of these cannons. I'm also going to start these other 2 time delayers. And so we're going to start the delay and also new logic connection on iteration process completed. We're going to start this other time delayer as well. And on the fireworks cannons, you'll notice it had the maximum on the slider of 2 milliseconds. And so what I'm going to do with this time delayer is I'm going to set this delay time to be 3 seconds. And on this one, I'm going to set this one to be 6 seconds. And what that's going to do then is when the iteration process is done, this is going to kick off maybe about half of those fireworks cannons. And those are all spaced out between 5 milliseconds and 2 seconds. And then this is going to go off and trigger about half of those fireworks cannons. And then 3 seconds later, that one's going to go off and trigger those. So our grand finale then is going to last about 8 or 9 seconds. And so that's really good. So the first part of the grand finale will be kicked off by this one. So on this, we'll do a new logic connection on iteration process completed on the counter. I want to kick off each of these 4 party cannons. And we're going to do a grand finale. New logic connection on iteration process completed. Kick off this party cannon. Grand finale. New logic connection. Iteration process completed. This one. Grand finale. New logic connection, iteration process completed. Grand finale. And you're going to do that exact same thing for these time delayers as well. So on each of these time delayers, you're going to do a new logic connection on delay completed, and you're going to come over again to each of these 4 party cannons and do a grand finale. And you'll do the exact same thing for that one as well. And I won't hook all these up for you, I'll do that offline. The other thing we're going to do is invoke about half of those party cannons. So on the counter, we're going to do a new logic connection on iteration process completed. And so on the counter, let's go over to number 4. And on this one, I'm going to do the Disney Infinity logo, and we'll make it red. And on the counter, we'll do a new logic connection on iteration process completed. We'll go to number 5. And on this one, we'll do a large Mickey. And we'll pick, let's say, blue. And we'll do on the counter a new logic connection on iteration process completed. Let's go over to number 7, and this is the one that's oriented the other way. And we'll do another chrysanthemum. And we'll make this one green. On the counter, a new logic connection on iteration process completed. We'll come over to number 8. And on this one, let's do one we haven't used yet. Let's do Oogie Boogie Face. And we'll make that one orange. And on the counter, a new logic connection on iteration process completed. Let's go to number 9, and again this is one that's facing the other direction. So we'll come over again to the chrysanthemum, and we'll make a different color with this one. Let's do yellow. So there we go. This will invoke 5 of those fireworks cannons and also all 4 of those party cannons. And it kicks off the next 2 time delayers for stage 2 and 3 of the grand finale. So this one, as I mentioned, you're going to hook up to all of the party cannons, but we also want to hook this one up to about half of these fireworks cannons as well. So on this one, new logic connection when the delay is completed. Let's come over to number 2. And let's do a large snowflake. And we'll set this one to blue. And a new logic connection on delay completed. We'll go over to number 4. So we're spacing these out a little bit. And we'll go to a large flower. And let's make this one purple. And a new logic connection on delay completed. We'll come over to number 7. And once again, let's do a chrysanthemum. Because that's kind of a traditional firework explosion, which I really like. And we'll make this one green. And a new logic connection when that delay is completed. We'll come over to number 8. And let's do a smaller star for this one. And we'll make this one yellow. New logic connection delay completed. Come over to number 9. And this again is one that's facing that other way. We'll do a crescent. And for this one, let's do orange. And then we'll also invoke number 10 with this one. So delay completed on number 10. We haven't used the large Jack Skellington face yet, so we'll do that. And let's make this one white. Alright, so that's the second stage of the grand finale. For the third stage, on this time delayer, we'll do a new logic connection on delay completed. And we'll come over to number 1. And on this one, let's do another large flower. And let's make this one green. And a new logic connection on delay completed. We'll come over to number 2. And we'll do a Disney Infinity logo. And we'll make that one red. New logic connection on delay completed. Come over to number 3. And on this one, let's do a large star. And we'll make this one purple. And new logic connection on delay completed. Come over to number 4. As you can see on this last one, I'm going to set off most of these. So let's do once again a large Jack Skellington face. And for this one, let's do orange. And a new logic connection when the delay is completed. Let's skip 5 and go to 6. Actually, we'll cancel out of that. Let's go to number 7. New logic connection when the delay is completed. Go to number 7. We'll do the chrysanthemum one more time. And on this one, let's do red. And a new logic connection delay completed. We'll come over to number 8. And on this one, let's do a spider. And we'll make this one yellow. New logic connection on the delay completed. We'll come over to number 9. Let's go ahead and do another chrysanthemum. And for this one, we'll do a blue one. And we'll also invoke number 10. So new logic connection on delay completed. We'll invoke number 10. And on this one, let's close it out with a large Mickey shape. And let's do green. So there we go. There's our fireworks show. And now I'm here. Let's go ahead and just hook these up. New logic connection. We're almost done anyway. We'll go ahead and hook these up, and then we can demo it and wrap this up for the day. If you want, you can skip ahead a couple of minutes on my video. I just want to hook each of these time delayers up to the party cannons to do the grand finale. And so each of those party cannons is going to get fired off 3 times. once by the counter, once by each of these timed layers. So it's just going to be a massive barrage of fireworks, which will be awesome. New logic connection, delay completed. Kick off all of these party cannons. So it takes a little while to set this up, and it's kind of tedious, but the results are worth it. And again, you don't have to do this exactly as I've done it. You can place your locators around wherever you want in the sky there. Just make sure you match up the shape of the firework with the orientation of the locator. Because again, some of these fireworks are oriented differently than the other ones. The chrysanthemum, the spinner, the crosette, those are all oriented differently. There we go. There's our fireworks show. Let's go ahead and test it out. Alright, and actually I'm going to go ahead and save my game here first. Oh, it doesn't really matter. I can save this at the end. Alright, push the button. We switch over to nighttime. Let's see, where do we want to watch it from this time? Kind of watch it from back here, I think. That'll look pretty good. So we got a few seconds here before that goes off. And there we go. So you can see they're not going off in regular intervals. Setting the time delay on each of those fireworks cannons kind of spreads them out a little bit so it's not quite so regular. And of course it does repeat every once in a while. But it's random, so you kind of expect that. There's the chrysanthemum. That, of course, is the spinner. I think that crosette was the green one that went off at the top there. That's the crosette. Those are always fun. And there goes the grand finale. So just a massive barrage of fireworks. So that's my fireworks show. It's fun to watch, and the randomizer makes it a little different each time you play it. Next time, I'll show you how to build the Hidden Mickeys game. Until then, thanks for watching. Leave a comment to let me know what you think of my fireworks show, and if you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. If you want to build this for yourself, I've got a logic diagram on my blog that will help you out. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, you can do that by clicking my photo in the lower right corner of this video. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.